It is hump day, and we are still talking San Francisco 49ers, trying to get over the hump. What is that hump? Is it a Super Bowl, or is it just getting through this offseason? We're talking Steve Young, his comments on Brandon Aiyuk. We're talking Manti Te'o. Are the 49ers emotionally drained as he thinks? And he's speaking from experience. We'll discuss that. And also, of course, we got to talk about the 53-man roster. Where there's where there were there some surprise cuts? Damn, that kicked my ass. Let's get to it, man, right here on the Eric Crocker Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace. Welcome to another episode of the Eric Crocker Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, former AFL Arena Bowl champion. I think that has a little bit more ring to it. All right, I had to get a ring at some point in my life. All right, well, I got a wedding ring too. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in this morning. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're talking all things the 53-man roster. We'll dive into that, but can I be honest with y'all? I really do not care. Like, it's like we have to talk about it for content purposes. We talk about it on Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. We come at you 5 days a week. We're on any audio platform that you listen to. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. You can find Locked On 49ers 5 times per week. So typically that's where you can find me as well. Of course, here on the YouTube channel with y'all. And we're going to give you guys this platform to come on live at some point during this show. I want to tell everybody that this show is brought to you and sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use promo code Crocky to get bonuses up to $250. Hey, they got some NFL season stuff, some full season stuff. We're going to get into that. I'm actually going to let you guys make some picks for me for the entire season, and we're going to make some big money. All right. So, again, Underdog Fantasy. Download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky. That's Crocky, Crocky. All right. I want to start with Steve Young. All right, so I got my handy dandy notebook here. And Steve Young had this to say on the Brandon Aiyuk situation. All right. He said Nick Bosa was going to set the market. Trent Williams was going to set the market. All right. And we know guys that several other pitchers for the 49ers set the market. He went on to say that Aiyuk wants to set the market. Listen, that's where I disagree. And I feel like this is out there. There's a lot of people kind of taking this angle. You see CeeDee Lamb get paid, and people are like, Aiyuk thinks he's supposed to get CeeDee Lamb money. But Aiyuk never, and I mean never, Aiyuk never said he wanted CeeDee Lamb money. He never said he wanted Justin Jefferson money. All Aiyuk said he wanted is the money that he should get based on his production and where that is slotted. That is not a $35 million a year receiver. That is not a $34 million a year receiver. All right, now I will talk about where I think that Steve Young is right, and I'm siding with him on the Brandon Aiyuk situation. But where I feel like he's wrong, and there have been a lot of people insinuating that this guy wants top dollar money at the receiver position. No. He's asking for $6 million per year less than a guy like CeeDee Lamb. $6 million per year less. Even if we round that number up a little bit and go to $5 million per year less, maybe he wants $29 million per year. All right, that's still $5 per year less than CeeDee Lamb. That is a huge difference. Think about anything that y'all do. All right, think about any job you're at, and you're seeing people, and there's some people getting bonuses, and they're getting this and they're getting that, and you're like, well, man, look at my numbers. Yeah, I'm not at the very top, but I'm at a really good place right here with my numbers. And I feel like based on my numbers, yeah, I shouldn't get what Suzanne gets, who is the top seller every month. But man, right here where I see Johnny's name, I should be slotted right in there. And that's all Aiyuk is saying. I deserve that. Now, we have talked at nauseum about this situation and why it has played out the way it does. But if you guys need a reminder, I will remind you at least what my initial thoughts were and where I feel like it's still kind of playing out in that way till today. My big brother, diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, all right, he said this during the season last year. He's like, man, 49ers, man, they don't value Brandon Aiyuk the same way that we, the Dallas Cowboys, value CeeDee Lamb. And I'm like, well, bro, what you mean? He's like, you guys like Brandon Aiyuk, and he does some really good things. He's like, man, I think Brandon Aiyuk is hella good, but you guys don't do anything to feature him. And I started paying attention, and I'm like, you know what, big bro? You're right. The 49ers do not feature Brandon Aiyuk. Now, by default, because the 49ers just don't throw the ball a whole lot, he gets the most targets on the 49ers. All right, he gets the most targets on the 49ers. But I've said this. If you give Kyle Shanahan a shot at truth serum and you ask him, who does this offense go through? Who do you prioritize in this offense? I think he's going to get to a few different guys before he gets to Brandon Aiyuk. He's going to get to Christian McCaffrey, who touches the ball down there every play, doesn't want to get out. And of course, I get it. He probably should have won NFL MVP last year. He's going to talk about Deebo Samuel. Deebo doesn't get the amount of targets, and maybe he'd even be closer to that if he didn't miss 3 games. But he doesn't get the amount of targets as Aiyuk, but he still gets more touches than Brandon Aiyuk. Deebo Samuel, who missed several games last year and left several games early, still have more touches than Brandon Aiyuk. George Kittle, who again won't get the same amount of targets, but was the only tight end in the league last year that had over 1,000 receiving yards. So what does that tell me? That tells me not only is he a 1,000-yard receiver, but also how Kyle Shanahan values him in the blocking game with the run and sometimes utilizes him in the passing game. So there are a few different guys, not even getting to Trent Williams, who Kyle Shanahan values over what Brandon Aiyuk gives him. That's not to say that BA couldn't go to another team and that team value him more, right? But just based on the 49ers and their situation, their setup, I think he kind of believes not that BA is just replaceable, but what you do in this offense is the least unique in the sense of game planning than the other guys. And because of that, I always felt like I think they're going to have a hard time paying him a ton of money because, and this is just my standpoint as well, if I don't plan on utilizing you the way that the Detroit Lions use St. Brown, the way the Eagles use AJ Brown, right? And when I say use, I just mean their usage, their targets, right? Like making them a focal point. Hell, even guys like Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams over with the Red. Like, if I don't plan on using you in this offense the way those guys are being used, why would I pay you like them? I don't want to. So I think that's the biggest issue. So when Steve Young talks about how, hey man, he wants to, he doesn't want to set the market at receiver. He's not asking for 34, 35. He's just asking to get paid where he should get paid. And the 49ers are struggling to meet that number, even though it's drastically lower than the guys that are getting paid the top dollar amount at the NFL level. So where I think the Brandon Aiyuk is wrong, right? Because I said, hey, I think that there's an area here where Steve Young is wrong, but there's an area where I think Steve Young is right. And where he's right is, all right, you want to go somewhere where they maybe feature you more, they want to pay you more and all that. You requested a trade, and understandably so. All right, you requested a trade, understandably so. When you requested that trade, they found suitors and teams that were willing to meet your contractual demands that you wanted. They were willing to probably feature you more in the offense. And also, it worked for both sides. Hey, man, we get Amari Cooper back, a second, a fifth. You get to go, be utilized more. You go to a playoff team with the Cleveland Browns. They're gonna pay you what you want, and you turn that down. So that's where it's like, and Steve Young kind of pointed that out. Where, hey, there's teams that it worked for both sides. Why didn't you take that? I agree with Steve on that part. If you want out of this situation, which clearly he doesn't want to he doesn't want out of this situation. Brandon Aiyuk wants to get paid by the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's very clear. And who wants to leave, man? If you got a nice job, you just want to feel valued at your job. That's what all the antics were this offseason. They don't want me, man. They don't want me. It's like they want you. They just don't want you at that number. And you want them to want you at that number because this is the team that you want to play for. And that's the part I understand. So this is a very tricky situation. And actually, I say tricky, but I don't think it's tricky. I think this should have been handled much better. I'm putting a lot of the blame on the 49ers. If you knew that you didn't want to reach a certain amount of money, kind of like you did with DeForest Buckner, make the quick decision like you did with Buckner. And I think both sides would have been much better suited if all this would have transpired in March as opposed to trying to figure it out late August, a week before the season starts. Maybe he stays a 49er and this is all a moot point. Maybe he gets paid by the San Francisco 49ers. But man, when I look at how this whole thing played out, I think it would have been a lot better served to get this thing done really a lot like the Buckner situation, unless you potentially planned on meeting his contractual demands. But if you didn't want to get to that number, do what you did with Buckner. Because if you guys remember, the Buckner situation, Buckner was everything you wanted with a 49. He was everything you wanted when you draft a player. You want somebody that is productive. You want somebody that is healthy. You want someone who's a great leader. You want someone who he stands, whatever you want this guy to stand for, he's that on and off of the field. DeForest Buckner was everything you wanted. And because he wanted a certain number, you said, we'll never meet that. Right? Buckner was even hurt like, hey, man, like, y'all didn't even try to meet my number. I said my number, you said your number, and you're like, we'll never get close. Let's just trade them. Hey, go find a partner. They found a partner. First round pick. All right, let's do it. But why didn't the 49ers do that with Aiyuk? Or something very similar. Hey, your number is higher than anything we feel like we want to give you, so we'll trade you. And if we trade you earlier in the offseason when the new league year starts, then whatever we're looking for in compensation coming back, we'll get that. But now it's like, I don't like this. This spot doesn't work for you. There would have been much more. There are people like, Aiyuk overplayed his hand. If this stuff would have been situated in March, there would have been much more teams that would have been available to talk to for this. Teams would not have had their receiver rooms solidified. Teams would not have drafted, right? It would have been a much better situation, really, for all sides. Money wouldn't have been allocated throughout the offseason. It's like now you start with a clean slate and you get to figure this out. Now it's like, will he play on the 5th-year option? He will. I believe he will play on the 5th-year option. But now you're dealing with weird vibes. And I think the weird vibes part is going to take us into our next topic with Manti Te'o and what he said. I'm looking through the chat right now, seeing what everybody said. We're going to respond to some of these questions here. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. All right. Hoosh Manjada said offer him the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal. And supposedly the 49ers have upped their offer to $30 million. I keep hearing the 49ers have upped their offer. I haven't seen anything credible that says that. I heard that the 49ers upped it to $32 million, $28 million, $29 million, $30 million. But I haven't seen anyone credible say that. Not one person. And when the $26 million per year was being thrown out there were credible people reporting that. And then Brandon Aiyuk confirmed that. I'm not sure if they have come up from $26 million. Maybe they have a little bit. I heard that he liked kind of the first 3 years, but there was another year. And that's the thing. They start doing these things with phony money and stuff like that. And he's like, nah, like, y'all not finna get me like that. So maybe they are close. But I don't know. His actions still kind of, this is what I have heard. Not like I have all these crazy sources. But he's there. But he ain't really there. He ain't there. Have any of y'all ever been in a relationship and, it's like, we're together, but we ain't here. Me and my wife, we here. We locked in. You feel me? I don't think BA is locked in with the 49ers right now. And I don't know if they offered him that much. I don't know. All right, here we go. We got Joshua Jeter in the chat. He says, "Why do the 49ers insist on trying to be cheap with their best players?" Well, I think because they have a lot of best players, right? Like they just have a lot of players that are going to make a lot of money, and it's hard. Like this would be a much easier deal to be made if the team was just bad and you're not paying a lot of other guys top of the dollar money at their position. So I think that's what it is. They're trying to figure out different ways to make it work. 49ers should have traded Armstead. Well, the Armstead thing, I don't think they would have had to trade him. I think he would have been a free agent. So they could have let Armstead walk and kept Buckner, if I'm not mistaken. All right, if I'm not mistaken. We got D Smitty in the chat. He says the Niners are vets. The Niners are vets, and this is the third year in a row where they had to deal with contract noise before the season. I'm not worried about it. Bang bang. I got you, but I'd say this. It has always kind of felt a little different, and I would say the biggest reason why for me this felt different was because I felt like they don't want to pay him. With other guys, it's like they want to pay him. They just maybe playing hardball, whatever, right? Like, remember, Nick Bosa missed all the preseason last year. His deal didn't get done until the start of the season. But we knew the 49ers were going to pay Nick Bosa. We knew that. We knew that they wanted to pay him. We knew that when he signed, he was going to be the highest paid player at his position. We knew that. Not even just at his position. The highest paid non-quarterback at the time that he signed. We knew that. With this Brandon Aiyuk situation, we do not know the number. Well, we kind of know the number that they want to go to, but is that going to meet the demands of Aiyuk and what he feels, where he feels like value? And I don't think they want to reach that number. So I would say, yeah, we've seen a lot of times them, kind of stall these contract negotiation talks out and figure out, it took a little while, but yeah, this one is a little different. This one's a little different. JM617 says Bosa defensive player of the year before getting paid. Hey, there's a lot of other players on this roster that were not players of the year before getting paid, but they still got paid. You know what I'm saying? They still got paid. So you don't got to be Bosa defensive player of the year got him paid the highest amount for any non-quarterback. That's what defensive player of the year gets you. What does being an all-pro get you? Jan says, I can't imagine paying our fourth offensive option $30 million a year when Trent is set to make 21 and 23 over the next 2 years. That's a very valid point, and that might be part of the 49ers thought process with all of this. D Smitty says, keep him, trading him. We're good either way. The ball is going to keep rolling. And I think Kyle Shanahan believes that too. Remember, Kyle Shanahan's the one that said, where one of his coaches on the staff said, the scheme makes the quarterback does not make the scheme. So I do believe he feels like, hey, I can figure this out. But it's a little weird because it's kind of contradictory there, requesting a receiver back in a trade. And that's the part that's weird for me too. You know, I have said, and I just kind of went on my little rant on Locked On 49ers about how the 49ers do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of these different things. And I feel like it's like, what was your plan? Do you just do things off of a whim? Do you just do things? And for a team that is, I feel like everybody's in lockstep. Everybody's kind of in sync. They love each other, right? I feel like Shanahan and John Lynch, great relationship. Jay York with those guys, great relationship. You're winning, right? So it's really weird how they have a lot of these situations where, like, who thought this out? But somehow it works out. Like the 49ers botched the Trey Lance thing. And it was botched from their plan. Their entire plan was botched. Like whoever came up with that plan, what are you thinking? Like, how is this? Any of this makes sense? Again, let's go back to it. Jimmy Garoppolo coming off of a torn ACL. Maybe they want to get better, right? They want to get better at the not torn ACL. Jimmy Garoppolo hurt. So he's coming off of being injured. He had the high ankle sprain and stuff like that. Towards ACL, like we don't trust that he can stay healthy. All right. But we like him and he can start for his next year regardless because we like him. We like Jimmy. The teammates like him. But man, if we can get better and get healthier at quarterback, like, okay, let's do it. Get younger, let's do that. But we like Jimmy. All right. So any quarterback that we draft is going to likely have to sit a year behind Jimmy Garoppolo. That was kind of their plan. But when you use 3 first-round picks on one guy and you trade up, not only do you trade up not knowing who you want to take. You trade up like, don't know who we want, but we'll figure it out. Let's just look at all these guys, but this gives us the option to look at them. Like, so you don't know what guy you want, but you know you want Jimmy Garoppolo to start the season. You know you want him to play. You know you want him to be the guy, whatever the case, but you don't know which one of these rookies you want. And then the day before the draft, we find out you called hey, is Aaron Rodgers available? So let me get this straight. You like Jimmy G as your starter. You like him. The players like him. That's the leader, etc. All right. And you went to a Super Bowl with him and all this other stuff. All right. So you have him. You like him. But then you blindly used 3 first-round picks on a quarterback, and at the time, not knowing which guy you wanted. And while you already traded up, you called the Packers to see if Aaron Rodgers was available. How'd you plan on getting him? Like when we talk about like what their plan is, sometimes I don't know. So then this year, this offseason, you don't want to pay Aiyuk the amount of money, and then you go and you draft a receiver, which makes sense. We don't think we really want to pay him. Let's trade him during the draft, and we'll draft a rookie. All right, so you draft a rookie receiver, but then in the talks of trading Aiyuk, you want a receiver in return. When you just drafted not just one receiver, you drafted another receiver in Jacob Cowing, and you still got Debo, you still got Kittle, you still got Jawan Jennings, you still got CMC. And it's like, what is your plan? What is your plan for this rookie receiver that you just drafted? How many teams have y'all seen, right? We've seen teams trade a guy. Well, let's talk about a plan. How many teams we've seen? I'll just throw the team out there. Minnesota Vikings. All right, hey, Diggs is tripping. Let's trade Diggs. So this offseason, we're gonna look into let's trade Diggs, see if we can find a partner for him. Ooh, Buffalo. Buffalo says they're looking for a receiver. So all right, let's trade Diggs to Buffalo. Hey, but we need to draft a receiver to replace him, right? So let's draft Justin Jefferson. Now, they don't know how it's going to work out. Obviously, you didn't know Justin Jefferson would be arguably the best receiver in the league. But the plan was, all right, if we get rid of this dude, we got a first round back, we're going to draft this guy. And he's gonna play. Cool. But did you ask like Buffalo, all right, hey, we're gonna trade you Diggs, but we need a really good receiver in return, and we plan on drafting a receiver? Like, it's like that wasn't their plan. 49ers is like, all right, well, we got Debo, we got Aiyuk. Okay, we're gonna draft a first round. We don't even talk about Ricky Pearsall like he was like drafted in the first round. How many times have you seen receivers drafted in the first round and the team like not have a real like role for him? Now, again, we don't know. Dude's been hurt. I don't know. Maybe they do have a role for him. But it just seems very odd that all the reports were saying the 49ers, a big holdup was they wanted a receiver in return. And in my head, I'm thinking, why do you need a receiver in return to make this deal go through when you just drafted one first round? I don't understand that. Now, I'm not saying that somebody couldn't throw in a receiver. All right, cool. You kind of want a body, all right. But for it to be like, oh well, we don't want to trade him yet. We need to find somebody where we can trade, get a receiver. Like what? So what is your plan with your rookie receiver? I don't know. I think Brian has a good point here. Kyle lack of trust in rookies is an issue. It's tough. It's hard for me to question the 49ers in the sense of the results have been really good. But the process of getting it, like, you lucked into Brock Purdy. When I talk about plans, Brock Purdy was not a part of your plan. Purdy was not a part of your plan. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch get credit for Brock Purdy, when really they had nothing to do with getting Brock Purdy aside from drafting him. Someone else liked Brock Purdy. Someone else was like, hey, let's take Brock Purdy as quarterback. That wasn't like, hey, all right, we got Trey, we got Jimmy, but we're going to draft this quarterback with the 262nd pick in the draft, and eventually he's going to be a really, really good starter for us. Like, no, that wasn't a part of their plan. They were just drafting the quarterback. Like, do we have to keep paying Nate Sudfeld $3 million or whatever he's guaranteed? Like, they lucked into Brock Purdy. That wasn't a part of, like, when I'm thinking of a team, like the first picks in the draft, like the first 2-3 rounds, like Kyle, John, they have their hands all in that. That last pick in the draft was just, the scout probably liked Brock Purdy. A coach on the staff, a quarterback coach liked Brock Purdy. I think it was Brian Greasy maybe, liked Brock Purdy. Hey, I kind of like what this guy does. I kind of like what he brings. Let's just bring him on. Kyle was like, all right, whatever. It's the last pick in the draft. Like, that wasn't a part of their plan. So they got lucky with that. A lot of their plans, I don't understand it. But they have a good roster, hell of a coaching staff that gets stuff done, and the team wins. So I think I went too long on that, but it was just it was odd. I'm not gonna kill them for like the Danny Gray or Dante. Like, Dante Pettis, you trade up in the second round. Like, all right, didn't work out. Danny Gray, I wasn't high on him like that. If you go back and watch the videos, matter of fact, a lot of you fans kind of killed me not being high on a guy. Like, doesn't mean the guy won't be good. But there were certain areas I felt like he needed to improve, and not sure he has. Khalil Young says, Slowick scouted Purdy and informed Greasy about him. That was how you got Brock Purdy. All right, appreciate everybody in the chat right now. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Again, this show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky. Let's go. They'll give you a deposit bonus up to $250. All right. Next topic. We got a guy by the name of Manti Te'o. Here's the one thing, and I saw it when I first got in this chat as well. When someone has a take, right, they have a thought. And this happened with Cam Newton as well. Why do people attack that person instead of addressing their take? Manti Te'o basically said, the 49ers just seem a little emotionally drained, right? Now, he was speaking from experience. He said the 49ers seem emotionally drained. He talked about his time with the Saints and how back-to-back years they just had these catastrophic losses. One was the Minneapolis Miracle, right? If y'all remember, Stephon Diggs, he catches a ball from like Case Keenum. The safety Williams misses Diggs. Diggs runs into the end zone, takes his helmet off, throws it. They lose the game in the playoffs, and they should have never lost. Right? Should have just never lost that. And the Saints lost that. Heartbreaking. The next year, the Saints lose on that non-PI call. I don't even know how they didn't see that or get that or whatever. That was one of the wildest missed calls I've ever seen in my life. But he missed them. Heartbreaking, right? So he's speaking from experience. Man, I went through this. You get emotionally drained after these devastating losses. I'm looking at the 49ers right now. They got a lot of different things going on. Something's not quite right. I think they're a little emotionally drained. I don't know if I could pick them to win the West. And it's like, okay. But instead of addressing that, like his take, and being like, nah, you're wrong. The 49ers are not emotionally drained. They are locked and loaded. They are ready to go, which I don't know. It seems like a weird ass offseason to me. But instead of addressing that, It's everyone, including Deommodore Lenoir, talking about how the well, computer love. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly what uh, Deommodore Lenoir said. He said, "This doesn't even matter. I used to have computer love too." And we know what he's talking about, right? If you guys live under a rock or something, you haven't heard Manti Te'o back in, what was it, 2011, maybe 2012, around that time. I'm trying to, the years kind of start to roll together, but he got catfished. He was like one of the original catfished fishers, or whatever you want to call it. Like, and it was bad. It was bad. I watched the documentary on it. I think it made it even worse. It made it even worse. But he got catfished. He had a fake girlfriend, and he has since kind of moved on, whatever. But instead of addressing Manti Te'o's take on the 49ers feeling a little emotionally drained, a little off. They look tired. I'm watching them. I don't see the bounce. I'm watching the Seahawks. I see the bounce in the locker room. I see guys excited to play football. I see them excited for the season. And 49ers kind of like, it's a little off. And I agree. That's the crazy thing. I've said on me and Peacock show, right? On Locked On 49ers, like, the vibes feel off to you, Peacock? Vibes with this team feel a little off. I just watched a 8-minute clip on was it First Things First or whatever with Nick Wright. I'm not saying Nick Wright is right, whatever, right? But I'm listening to Nick Wright. I'm listening to I think it's Jennings up there, former receiver, and they're just a lot of people are just like 49ers. It just feels a little weird. Feels a little weird, and it does. The example I brought up was the 2014 season. Remember, the 49ers have been to 3 straight conference championship games. One of them was a Super Bowl. They lost, they lost the conference championship games in the Super Bowl. In 2014, the vibes were a little weird. There was like this thing with Jed York and Balky and Jim Harbaugh, and it was odd, it was off, and the season started, and you start to hear rumors about Jim Harbaugh being traded in the offseason, and I'm like, there's no way he gets traded to the Browns. What the heck are people talking about? This is fake noise. And then you come to find out it was like real noise, like it was like a real thing. It was a very weird offseason. It ended up being a very weird season. There was injuries. They went 8-8. And then Harbaugh and Jet York and his guys, they mutually part ways, right? But it was weird. The vibes were weird in 2014, heading into the season. And I look at this season, and yeah, the 49ers have had a lot of success. And if we're just saying, well, the 49ers will be the 49ers because they've just been the 49ers, then I for sure, let's do it. Let's rock. But are we not willing to admit that things are a little off? Are we not willing to admit that things are a little off with the Niners? Jan says, I would judge the vibe during the season. I get you. It just right now, just you don't have to wait till the season. And again, week 1 comes, you smash the New York Jets, and then it all goes away. But are we not gonna be honest with ourselves? And like, see that even like this comment, right? I would judge the season. That's like blind faith. Right? Like that's kind of blind faith. That's just like 49ers have been this 49ers. So and until week 1 comes and they lose or something, or it looks weird. Nah, man, they're good. But like, I think can we just acknowledge how it feels right now? And it feels a little weird. It does. Will that mean anything? Will that mean that Manti Te'o is right or whatever? No. But it is weird. There's been weird things. The Trent Williams situation, come on. The Brandon Aiyuk situation, it got things a little weird. Heck, Brock Purdy going out there with all backups because he feels like he needs more reps. Weird. Like it's just the vibes are off. The vibes are off. The vibes are off. That's all I'm saying. And when I listen to Manti Te'o and others say vibes are off with the 49ers a little bit, I'm picking the Rams. It's like I can understand that. Now, will the 49ers be the top dogs again? I hope so. But for anybody that says the vibes are off and they want to pick the Rams, who the Rams are typically a good team too. Like we're not gonna act like the Rams are bums. They're typically a good team. They've been good under McVay. They are what a couple years removed from winning a Super Bowl. 3 years, right? Because Chiefs have won back to back. Like they're not scrubs. They're not bums. So I think sometimes 49 fans and stuff like that, we got ride our high horse a little bit, but to just discount them saying another team that is good too may potentially finish ahead of 49ers. I don't think that's the worst take. And then to challenge that person personally because of something that happened when they were younger, I think we could do better than that. Let's address the take. Let's address what he said instead of attacking the person. Same thing happened with Cam Newton. It's like Cam Newton's like, I think Purdy is he's a whatever he called him, system quarterback or whatever, right? Instead of like a game changer or whatever he said. And instead of addressing that, nah, man, like you're wrong because Brock does this and he does that and he does this at a high level and he's really good at this. Instead of saying that, it's like you're just jealous because your career. This dude won championships and Heisman's and Rookie of the Year. He had a successful career. Didn't win the big game. But it's like I'm gonna talk about that instead of addressing what you actually said. I just think that's weird. When Manti Te'o was only speaking from experience, I had these devastating losses with the Saints. It emotionally drained us. It was tough. It was hard. Speaking from experience. I was like, oh, but you had a fake girlfriend. You had a fake girlfriend, though. Hey, man, I'm just saying. JM617. Demo would pick off Prime Newton. Maybe. There was a time, man, Cam Newton was. He was a guy. He was a guy. I forgot to get to the super chat. I appreciate the super chat here. He says he deserves the money, just not with us. We should be he deserves the money, just not with us. We should have be worried about our line. We should have been worried about our line. If more is in, Brock will not be protected. Gotcha. Okay. So he's saying, hey, man, he deserves money, just maybe not with the 49ers. And 49ers this offseason, instead of being kind of worried about that whole situation, let's allocate more money and resources to the offensive line so that we can protect Brock Purdy a little bit better. Make sure you have Trent Williams in there. We don't trust more protecting the blind side of Brock Purdy. I get it. Eric Dane in the chat. Eric with an E. He says Manti Te'o isn't the only one who said this. Julian Edelman also said they were acting like a team that had already won a Super Bowl. Here we go. We don't have the same teams from both Super Bowls, and you don't. This Smitty. Edelman is just saying stuff just to say stuff too. He's media now. We got to dig deeper than that. That's what the Eric Crocker show, we are here to dig. Let's dig a little deeper. I'm not into hot takes and stuff. Look, we're supposed to talk about the 53-man roster. Forget the 53-man roster. I was surprised that Braden Willis was let go. I thought they would keep him. I watched them use him at fullback. I was surprised that they let go of Eric Sober, but I think they'll end up bringing him back once somebody else makes it and they put him on IR. I was surprised that at any way, shape, or form, Ambry Thomas made the team. Those were the things I was surprised. Ronnie Bell, I think he made it by default because of the Brandon Aiyuk situation. I think if Aiyuk was here ready, active. I don't think Ronnie Bell would have made it. All right, that's 53-man roster update. All right, let's get back to this. Niner Cali Boy says, I just seen an unconfirmed report that Trent is requesting 70 million guaranteed. Have you heard of this? By the way, dope hat. Appreciate it. Hey, a lot of people ask me about my hats. I got a lot of 49er hats. I typically get my hats from one or two places. Lids, which I think a lot of people get their lids hats from, and Shoe Palace. Shoe Palace, sneaky for having really good 49er hats. Very sneaky. And not only, I think when I first noticed it, I wasn't even going in to buy 49er hats. I was going in because it's like, oh, I want to get some sneakers or something, right? And get some kicks. And then I see 49er hats. Shoot, I got this black one, fire, Shoe Palace, sneaky for having 49er hats. People ask me a lot about my hats. All right. Angela in the chat says, I get my hats from Culture Kings. See, okay. Yeah. See, I need to check out Culture King. I'm bald headed, so anybody bald head out there, you should be wearing the hats and stuff. I for surely do. Callie Young says, I got a joint from Shoe Palace. See, you know what I'm talking about. I'm there faithfully. All right, here we go. It's not about whether it's good or bad for Edelman. The point is he knows what he's talking about. We can't get personal. Let's listen to the take. And somebody above said, Edelman, he's part of media, just saying things, just say things. And I do think there is a portion of, first of all, we have to, what's media and what's not. Somebody sitting behind a mic with a camera in his face, hello, all right, that does not make me media, right? Like content creator. Guys like Edelman, he has a podcast and all this. I have started to see him on a few more things, but media member, like, is he Adam Schefter? Like, is he on one of these shows where he has to give hot takes? Or sometimes the producer, but I don't think that it's a hot take for people thinking that the vibes are off with the 49ers. I don't think that Julian Edelman is saying things just to say things when he says the 49ers act like they've already won the Super Bowl. We haven't. Haven't. The 49ers have not won a Super Bowl. We've been trying. I'm tired of trying to win the Super Bowl. I want to see the 49ers win it. I want to see the 49ers win the Super Bowl. That's what I want to see. How old, everybody in the chat, put how old you are when the last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl. I'll start. Let's see. 81, 93. I was 7, 8 years old. I'll just say I was 8. So go ahead, y'all. We got Nick, he was 22. Brian in the chat, he was 3. I was 8. Big Dez, at least Big Dez probably really remembers him and Kelly Young. They were 15 years old. Got a lot of 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds. How old are we now? Bro, I'm putting my age in the chat. I'm 37. I'm 37. I'm 37. You know what I'm saying? So we got to stop acting like this team is high and mighty and above any type of pushback, any type of, like, oh, you can't talk about them. Like, yes, the 49ers are damn good. But two things can be true. 49ers are damn good, and would it be a stretch to say that the 49ers don't win the NFC West? Because the Rams have actually been a good team as well. And I don't think so. We got some people in here that don't even remember. The crazy thing is, I actually remember more of the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl the following year than I do the actual 94 Super Bowl. Why? I don't know. I know I watched both of them. But I remember way more of the Cowboys that 96 year than I do the year before when I was in second grade. That's crazy. tired of losing. Last time we won the Super Bowl, boys to men were hot. I think a lot more people than boys and men were hot back then. Mariah Carey. I mean, Mariah Carey's been hot. That was my baby too. Y'all remember young Mariah Carey? Whew. But now that I'm older, I like old Mariah Carey. I like old Mariah Carey. But yeah, back then, young Mariah Carey was popping. Big Dad, or excuse me, my bad. Big Dez was a freshman in 1994. Whew. Big Dez was a freshman in 94. In the chat, we'll say Jay. Jay in the chat says, "It's not a stretch to say the Rams could win the West." That's crazy. I don't even think that's a hot take. They need Stafford to be healthy. They got some what you got. Need Cooper Cup to be healthy the whole time. They discovered Puka Nakua. They got Kyron Williams in the backfield. I think he runs and catches the ball well. They drafted Blake Corum, right? They got some defensive pieces. They added Jared Verse, drafted the tackle. Like they already had some young, good defensive pieces that were coming along. It is not a stretch. They're a well-coached team. They're typically good. They are typically good. See, Jeff really remembers. Shout out to Jeff Mercer in the chat. I was 27 last time 49ers won the Super Bowl. He remembers it. Remembers it. I remember they just kept scoring touchdowns. That's all I remember. That's all I remember. That is all I remember. Whew. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate all y'all. Good show here. I don't want to say blow off steam, but I feel like I gotta be that person. Let's reel these things in a little bit and let's see what they're really talking about. If you weren't here from the beginning, we talked about Steve Young, his comments on Brandon Aiyuk. And I talked about where I felt like he was right, where I felt like he was wrong. I felt like Steve Young was wrong in the sense of saying that Brandon Aiyuk wants to set the market. Never. He's asking for $6 million less per year than CeeDee Lamb, $7 million less per year than Justin Jefferson. There's been this narrative out there. He's asking for those guys' type of money. No, he is not. Can I get Jalen Waddle money? Where I think that Steve Young was right. Steve Young said, well, you requested a trade. They found something that works for both of you, and you turned it down. That's why I feel like you kind of tripping, bro. They got you things you needed. They got you things you wanted, and you still turned it down. I thought that was weird. All right. We talked about Manti Te'o saying the 49ers were emotionally drained. And people attack him personally for saying something that it feels like the vibes are off with this squad. But they attack him personally. Let's talk about his take when he says he's speaking from experience. D. Smith says, Croc, I can tell you weren't a trash talking DB. You'd be drastically wrong, mistaken. You'd be mistaken. The me on the field, right? And it's crazy because I remember when I first got into coaching, I coached at this high school, and this coach thought, man, I thought you were gonna be like this as a coach, but you're more reserved. Like as a person, I'm very reserved, chill. You don't see a whole lot of highs, you don't see a whole lot of lows. I'm just not this emotional person. I don't yell at my wife. I don't get emotional over anything. Like really don't even yell at my kids, don't raise my kids. My daughter was like, Dad, how come you never cried? Like, I actually have cried a few times. It's just like happy tears as opposed to being like emotional. Like when they do something. When my son played flag football, he was like 8 years old, and he went the whole season, didn't score. In the very last play, he scored a touchdown. Like the very last play of the season. I cried. It was emotional. Man, you did it. So I will get emotional a little bit. Movies, A Star Was Born. A Star Was Born made me cry a little bit. Warrior, the movie Warrior. Tap Out, Tommy, made me get a little emotional. But anyways, I'm not very emotional. But off the field. But in person, excuse me, on the field, Crocky was turned up. Come on, man. I'm talking. I got video. I'm in dudes' faces after the plays. I was kind of dirty a little bit. I'm turned up on the field. But I can't be turned up Crocky in here. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Killer Young says, Crocky, are you calm watching the 49ers or are you hyped? It depends on the game. If it's like the Dallas Cowboy game, I was turned to the max. The Eagles game, I'm turned up. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody starts talking trash to me, then I'm gonna be turned up. But for the most part, if you're with me watching a game, I am pretty reserved for the most part. I don't do a whole lot of yelling. I'm not really a big yeller at the TV. I really don't like watching the game around a lot of people. I like kind of just being chill, me and maybe a couple of homies, and just kind of talking through what I'm seeing. But if it's like one of those, the Eagles, the Cowboys, I'm turned up. I'm turned up for sure. Turned up for sure. And y'all would know when I'm turned up because you'll see the tweets start flying. And then I'll start posting videos like of me and I'm talking. And I'm talking. So y'all have seen that. So that's when I'm turned up. Those Twitter posts from Crocky during the Cowboys games are gold. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Gabriel Reyes knows. Like, if it's one of those games, I'm turned up. I'm turned up. I'll get triggered for sure. For sure. Big Dad says, I can't watch a game with the casual. It's irritating. It is very irritating. I can't either. Croc, you need to stream a game to see your reactions. I'll try, but the way my stuff is all set up, I feel like I'm always like behind 30 seconds or so. So I don't stream stuff. Maybe this year I will. Matter of fact, some folks in Sacramento, and I got to get back to them. They want to do like this live watch party at a golf course. Would y'all be interested in that? This is what they want to do with me. They want to have a watch party. They want to do the week 2 Minnesota Vikings game. So it'll be early in the morning. I think it's like a 10 a.m. game. It's at a golf thing. You get, you pay, I don't know, I think it's at $10 a ticket or something like that. Prepaid tickets, they got food, they got this, they got that, they got drinks. And we chill and watch the game. And it's like a live watch party there at the golf course. At the golf course, one of Kavanaugh's golf courses in Sacramento. Hey, I don't know. I'm like, is it worth it? Do y'all want to watch? Do y'all want to have a watch party? Y'all want to go and watch the game with me? The Vikings game? We chill, we talk, we have drinks, you know what I'm saying? Have a good time. Y'all let me know. Gammon says, Croc, are you yelling when you are coaching? Not really. Again, I'm more reserved. I will start talking. I have a bad habit of this. I'll start trash talking players from opposing teams if they say things to like me. These players disrespectful. They'll start saying things to you. And once they start doing that, I'll make little comments to them. But I'm really not a big yeller. I do get excited. If you watch some highlights of my players, you'll see me like they have a 60-yard run. You'll see me running down the sideline with them. See my guy get a pick six. You'll see Eric Crocker take off sprinting with him. One of my guys had a big interception last week against Grant. I'm jumped on the field with him. We, you know what I'm saying, chest bump in the air. So I do get turned up. I can't get turned up, but I'm not much of a yeller. Not much of a yeller. Shout out to my mom in the chat. What's up, mama? I see my mama in the chat. Let's go. Let's go. Love you, mom. I'll make it to Atlanta and see my mom soon. All right. But yeah, hey, do y'all want to watch the Vikings game, have a live party? If so, let me know. I'll get these prepaid tickets y'all get. I think it's like $10. You just have to get food and whatever. We're going to have some food, drinks, all that type of stuff, man. I think they said something about buffet, whatever. If y'all really want to do that, I'll get on the phone today and I'll set that up, all right? So make sure you guys hold me to that. It will be at one of the Kavanaugh's golf courses. And then, after the game, let's hit some golf balls. Let's go to the range, all right? Hey, all that. Let's go. Sacramento. Let's start looking for that. All right. But aside from that, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use promo code Crocky. Football season is here. I'm out. Peace.